climber. Today's guest has gone from in the studio as a production assistant for Taylor Swift, you might have heard of her, to now she is partner and creative director of an up-and-coming music publishing company. She's awesome. She's a sweetheart. We had a great conversation with her. Can't wait for you to get to meet her and learn about what is going on these days in the publishing business. It's going to do you right. Johnny, do that thing you do.
Welcome to the climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Everything you want in your artist, songwriter, creative life is going to rely on leverage, and we want to show you how to get there. That's why we called it The Climb. C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That's so smart. That's a Baxter. From my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Lady A, Joe Nichols, Randy Travis, and more. Got number ones in Southern Gospel, got number ones in Bluegrass. He's been on Texas radio, Australian radio. The man is everywhere. You don't care about any of that. Here's what you care about, is that he is going to help you turn pro as a songwriter by teaching you how to write like a pro, how to do business like a pro, and then once you got the machinery working and you're pumping out good content, good songs, the last part of the equation, the next part and the last part is the relationships. And he's going to help you create relationships with the pros that will help you climb to the next level. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. It's complicated, but he's smart. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, and there's no S because there is no other Johnny D.
I know this is coming out in February, but because we do so good at stacking stuff up. Happy New Year, brother.
Right. Happy New Year, Johnny.
2025 is going to be a good one.
That's right, because we ain't quitting.
Nope. Can't stop, won't stop.
That's right. Speaking of good, man, this was a good interview today.
Yeah.
I'm excited to share it.
I love her energy and I love her passion. It's just a very genuine, I said it in the show, but it's like, you can tell the difference between people who chose music and when music chose the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what else I would do. I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I know that feeling. That feeling.
It's a corner sometimes that you're in, you know what I mean? But a really good community of people there.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, before we get to that, let's take care of a little business here. Mm-hmm. We want you to certainly follow the podcast wherever you consume your podcast. Check us out on YouTube too if you want to see our ugly mugs. That's where you can find us. And join the Climb community on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/the Climb community, or you can just search the Climb community. You'll find it. Yep. You got to ask to be let in. You got to answer a couple questions that will let us know that you're not a bot or that you're trying to sell something like siding or microwaves or
carpet cleaning.
Carpet cleaning
shows up every once in a while. Used to anyway.
That seems to be the big hit is carpet cleaning.
Yeah. Look, you realize you're online. These people live everywhere. Why are you trying to sell me carpet cleaning in Sheboygan?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, but the community is good. We don't spam, we jam.
That's right. And this is a great, thriving community of singers, songwriters, indie artists, indie musicians, creatives, and people that are there to learn, to be better, and to support one another. So it's your peers, not your marketplace. It is your peers. And come on in, man. Like, you can ask any questions you want about songwriting, about marketing, about whatever, and you're going to get some great answers. And Brent and I drop in there often, and you'll get answers from us as well. And the a boatload of co-writes, like internationally co-writes have been started there that we're super proud of. And we've got a lot of great people there, industry people too. Industry pros are in there as well. So we want to get you there. Here, the rules are simple, man. The feed is for everybody. If you got a question, that's for everybody, right? If you've got something fun to share, that's like not about you, right? But about music, funny, whatever, and news, anything like that. I share a lot of news in there with people. Like, check this out, check that out. That's for the feed, but we do want you to share your music. If that's just as a comment for your new music on New Music Monday, every Monday there's a post. We wanted to share your gigs. That's on Gig Alerts. The post on Thursday, and
that's right,
even as a comment. And then the one we share on the show is the post that happens every Wednesday, which is called New Heights, and it really is. Wednesday wins just has better alliteration. Climb to the heights. Wednesday wins. Could have gone either way, so we use them both. But what do we got now for wins? It's been a while.
Yep. So Climber Karen Kiley says, got a song that I love and I'm really proud of being recorded and released by a young artist, and feeling really good about writing less but with more intention in the next year. Goals and embracing releasing a few of my own. So nice, Karen.
Good. And cuts. I love it. Love cuts. That's got to feel good. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, this one is sweet. I love this one. This from Casey Hiatus. Hopefully I'm saying your name right, but was my 9-year-old son's first co-writer a few days ago. Proud dad moment. One of my favorite music moments of my life. And the video there. And that's so sweet. That's awesome. And a little one for me, I just had, at the time of this recording, just had my first release of the year drop. It's a song called Saved by Grace by an artist named Ray Hollis. Wrote it with John Henderson and Neil Cody. It's a faith country song. And so happy to have that in the world. Ray does a great job on it. So thank you, Ray.
Congratulations, brother.
Congrats, Carrie and Casey. Y'all keep on climbing.
Keep on climbing. Yeah, I love it. Well, you know what? Let's just let's hop right into this interview, man.
Yes.
Emily's got a lot to say, and I think there's some good insights. There's a few value bombs in there that even for me, where I was like, wow, I didn't even think about it this way, from the publishing aspect. So I think it's gonna be very enlightening for Ewans. All right, so let's get to it.
All right, today's guest has over 10 years of experience in publishing, including stops at Disney Music Publishing, Tom Lay's Music, Pain in the Art Productions, Olay/Anthem, and Still Working Music. She worked as a production assistant on almost a dozen major label projects, including Taylor Swift's Speak Now album and the band Perry's self-titled debut album. She's secured over 150 cuts for artists including Brett Young, Randy Houser, Sarah Evans, Mickey Guyton, Justin Moore, Trisha Yearwood, Trace Atkins, and more. She's a Belmont University graduate, member of CMA, ACM, IMP, the Recording Academy, where she was part of the Grammy Next Class of 2020. Currently, she is partner and creative director of Dream 3 Publishing, home to writers including Ben Caver, John Stark, Don Edwards, Andy Buckner, and our friend of the show and former C.L.I.M.B guest, Trent Fisher. Emily Olson, welcome to the C.L.I.M.B.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Heck yeah.
That's fun. Trent, we mutual friends there. I love that.
He's awesome.
He's such a good dude, man.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I don't know if he told you this, but like when he was on the show, halfway through the dang show, I didn't know the background. You know what I mean? I just knew
the lineage.
That he was a climber, and I knew he got a pub deal, and I knew, and that's all I needed to know. Like for me to be like, yes, awesome, I love this, and he's also still a full-time teacher. Like it was all those amazing things were so great, and Trent Fisher, and then Brent started off with the. Or no, I guess it was Trent that was just like, yeah, well, football, we started out and blah, blah, football. I'm like, oh, you're into football? And I'm like, what do you think of the Green Bay Packers? And like, and I'm all excited because I will talk to anybody about the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, and he's like, yeah, well, my dad was like fishing with this one guy. And then that's how we got connected with Doug Johnson. And I was just like, wait a second. Is your dad like?
I don't think I knew it either.
I didn't know that, dude. I'm so embarrassed. Like,
Oh, it's funny. I don't think I knew either until the interview because it wasn't relevant. It was like it didn't matter. So then it was like, oh, okay. So anyway,
yeah. So
Fun.
I feel like that hit him the right way, not the wrong way. But so I know Brent, you got a bunch of questions, but just right
Yes.
out of the box, like as a what was your job description for production assistant on the Speak Now record and the debut record from
The band Perry.
the band Perry? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So for that, so Nathan hired me. I had, it was my last semester at Belmont and ran into him at a show, and I had just gotten let go from another job, and he was just, I ran into him. I was just at a show, and and he called me the next day and he's like, I need a production assistant. Would you be interested? And he knew I loved songs and songwriters. So we weren't looking at a very long-term thing. We just helped him because he was on everything this is September 2009. So he was in the middle of tons of projects and was just overloaded and just needed help. So
Yeah.
so I was his assistant. I was just kind of his right-hand person, whatever he needed help with. So the Speak Now album, they were in the middle of recording that. And so a lot of that was just sitting on the couch, just being like, hey, anybody need coffee, Chick-fil-A, anybody need anything, but I mean, I got to see that whole album come together. I was booking the bands too. That was a lot of what the production assistant does, is book the session musicians, book the studio, make sure everything's running smoothly, and then, getting all the union stuff together. And, but yeah, I got to see that whole album come together, and that was a really cool album to be a part of because how they made that album. Nathan was a track guy before that was really a thing, and so I just be sitting in his basement studio on his couch and like watching him create. I called them the finger drums because I'd never seen it. It was just he's making drum sounds with his fingers and on the keyboard, and I was just like, this is amazing. And and Taylor wrote that album by herself, so she's in the vocal booth just singing the songs. He's building the tracks around it in his basement studio, and it was really just Nathan, her, and then I'm just on the couch, and then they take that to Starstruck or Chris Lindsay's studio. They worked out a little bit, but and then they'd add the live instruments to it. So I got to hear those little finger drum tracks turn into real studio tracks, and like one of the coolest moments, like I was sitting there in Starstruck, and all the musicians are going in there to record Enchanted, and I was sitting there on the couch and it was just the engineer and me in there, and the musicians start adding the live instruments to Enchanted, and I remember that was like a moment where I was like, okay, this is history. Like, I'm watching history be made, and because she had him totally blown up then, she was that was before she. I feel like. When I started working there, we were just walking to Starbucks, and she didn't have security with her or anything. Right. She was just a normal person. And then I feel like when I think she won the Grammy like that January, like 2010. I feel like that's when she won Grammy for Fearless for album of the year. And then it was just like exploded. Where like then. Every time I would pull into Nathan's studio and she'd be there, her security car was outside the driveway and have to back out, let me in, but it was a really cool album to be a part of. But production assistant, I mean, it was a lot. Like, I mean, I had the easiest job. I have my name's in her album. I got credit, and but
come on,
fancy name for Starbucks. Chick-fil-A.
You might have heard of me, Emily says.
Well, I think one thing I'd be curious to hear. Well, it's interesting. Of course, she wrote all that, like you said, by herself. I would love to be a fly on the wall for like the song discussions of what makes a record, what doesn't, because obviously they picked well. But are there between that and the band Perry, if you're privy to some of those, which obviously don't give away anything you're not supposed to give away, but like. What's some of the difference in what makes a record and what doesn't, which I'm sure feeds into what you do now as the creative director at Dream 3, going, okay, I've been in the studio when people are culling, like we have more songs than we can cut. why is something not making the record? Why is something making the record? What are some things you picked up on either through that experience or just through your time at Dream 3 and the other stops you made?
Yeah. I mean, there were some songs that got cut and they just didn't feel right in the studio. Maybe that's why they didn't make the album, but I wasn't like part of those bigger discussions. I was more just getting to see the songs come alive, which was incredible. And Nathan knew I loved songs and songwriters. That's why I moved to town. And so he wanted, like, I would come in one day and he'd just be like, go find me the 20 best songs in town, meet with every publisher. Cause he knew I wanted to do that. And it could help him cause he was so busy in the studio and needed help with songs. And so he did. So like I got to listen and, I had a every other week meeting with Chris Lacey at Warner, and like, we were picking out songs for the band, and like it was just really interesting getting to hear her perspective on why songs would work and why they wouldn't. But I was never part of those bigger discussions. So like I just loved hearing songs and picking out which ones I felt like were the best ones. But yeah, like I'm just a song lover. So I mean, I want every song cut.
Amen.
So I'm glad there's people that narrow it down.
What was there a moment on that record where in that process where you had an epiphany? Like, what was the biggest thing you learned from that experience with Speak Now? Maybe about the business, about artistry, about songwriting, about how to make a record or whatever. Like what?
It was really just, I just got to see the music come alive and like really just seeing how talented Taylor is. I mean, she'd come into the studio and like the track would be done and she's like, oh, I just had this idea. And she'd like pull out a voice note that completely changed like an intro to a song. And it was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine this song without that anymore. And so just little things like that, and just getting to see her mind and how it works, and she's just so smart, and that was probably the biggest thing. And but yeah, just getting to hear songs come alive from the basement to live instruments in the studio.
It never gets old.
It doesn't. Like,
it never gets old.
Yeah, like our writers just had a demo session a couple months ago at Station West, and it's like the same thing where it's just hearing the work tape, and then the musicians just, they're going off this number chart, and then it just comes together and it's just magic.
They just slap the feel all over it. Yeah. It's so So let's go back a little bit. Where did you get this itch that you had to scratch with songwriting and music? Like what happened?
So, I mean, one of my earliest memories, I was like about 5 years old in the back seat, and Bonnie Raitt's I Can't Make You Love Me came on. And I'm like, I'm like starting to cry, and I'm like covering my face so my family doesn't see, like, like, I'm like, how does a song make me feel this way? Like, I don't know what this means, but I knew it was powerful. And so there was just, I just always loved songs and basically singer-songwriters. And I didn't grow up listening to country, but when I was about 14, I turned on country radio because Faith Hill, Shania, they were like crossing over, and it was like, they're country artists. I was like, they're country artists, what? And this is like
good time for women in the industry.
Yes, I know. And so this was like 2001, 2002, and it's like, these songs are amazing. There was just a lot of story songs. There was like Traveling Soldier, Baxter Greyhound Bus, That's Just Jesse, that Kevin Denny song.
Kevin Denny, that's a great record.
I mean, it was just like all of these great songs and like they were like stories, and I love sad songs, and a lot of them were, Traveling Soldier is like one of the saddest songs ever, and it was just, I was so moved, and there was one song in particular, and one artist, her name was Cindy Thompson.
Always like that best.
Yeah, and she had like, I was 14, she was cool, and like I was like, oh my gosh, I love these songs, and I had her album and realized there was a name, Tommy Lee James, in parentheses, and in interviews she talked about her co-writer, Tommy Lee James, and I'm like, what's a co-writer? And so I started, just pulling out all my albums and looking at who those names in parentheses were, and I was like, oh, this writer writes with this person, and just putting together that there's a whole community of songwriters in Nashville writing these songs, and I was like, I want to work with those people, because I was like the shy girl. I didn't I had no desire to write, perform, be in front of people. I just wanted to listen to songs, literally. And that's what I would, at 14 years old, I was telling my guidance counselor in high school, I was like, I want to help songwriters. And she's like, oh, you want to be a producer? And I was like, no, no, no. I literally just want to listen to songs and get them heard. And like, I didn't know what that meant,
God
but
bless
I
you.
did. Yeah. So, trying to figure out what exactly like to make that happen, you know, it was a little complicated, but I figured out Belmont had a music business degree. And so I was like, music business, that is what I want to do. And then, you know, as I dove into the classes, I took a publishing class, and Ashley Gorley was actually my teacher there. Taught for 2 semesters, and I had him, and that was, you know, 2006 or 2007. And a year and a half later, he was ASCAP Songwriter of the Year. But that was the class. I was like, yes, publishing is exactly what I want to do. I want to work with these songwriters and, you know, get their songs heard. And yeah.
So you didn't choose music. Music chose you.
Kind of, yeah. Like, I don't know what else I would do.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Yeah.
It's either this or I'm going to be on the 6 o'clock news climbing a tower with a gun. This is the better.
Yeah.
This is the better way to go.
Yeah.
So now that you're with Dream Theory, what does a typical day kind of look like for you over there as partner and creative director? You got songs coming in, you're trying to get songs out. What keeps you busy all day?
A lot of things. It's and like, you know, it's just so it's a lot of calendar management. Publishing is a lot of setting up the co-writes, and a lot of co-writes move around, so it's a lot of shuffling rights and a lot of that. And then just
you mean songwriters need to change dates? It's not set in stone. No. They never try to say I can't be here. What?
I know, right? I know. Well, and when you book 3 months out, you don't know when you're going out of town, and you know,
right.
It's a lot of juggling that. But yeah, I'm just trying to push songs however I can. It's changed a lot since I've started in publishing 15-ish years ago. And yeah, just meeting with new artists and new writers, and yeah, just trying to get songs heard.
What's some of the ways that the pitching has changed? Is it just mainly the technology? Is there less in person, more links, not dropping off CDs so much?
Yeah, yeah. No more making CDs and all the labels, and that's kind of nice. I don't miss the stress of like the labels. And I mean, back then you had those songs and you had to keep those songs. You know, you didn't have any backup. So like when they throw you a curveball, it's like, well, these are the songs I've got. But now you can just, you know, pull out your computer phone and be like, oh, I got something that I didn't plan for, but you know, you can go off.
I can hop on my phone and get out. I remember pressing the sticker label after I'd printed it off, pressing the sticker and hoping to get it right. And
yes, it was like so stressful. You had to like get it on there perfectly, and I
no air bubbles.
Yeah, it's like Reba's gonna get this. It has to look perfect.
Or it'll dang get stuck in your CD player, and then you're screwed.
Yeah, and like I made the mistake where like I concentrated so much on the label that I forgot to actually burn the songs on the CD. So it was like moving it. It's just like, well, I don't know what to do now.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
so Emily, you're a partner in Dream 3 Publishing, which makes you all of the things that we're talking about, plus an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Which is a skill set in and of itself.
Yeah, which I never planned on happening. It just kind of happened.
I love that, though. First of all, and hats off. I mean, I have the utmost respect for entrepreneurs. It's, you know, if you don't really get sick days, or you know, like it's like if you don't show up, it don't happen. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Because this is a crazy time right now, a paradigm shift in the industry. I would love to know, like, what's your biggest business challenge in the publishing world, and what do you and your partners, how do you see it changing, like in the future? Like what, like aside from like what do you have to do now to stay solvent and to stay in business? And then do you guys see around the corner? Like, what do you see around the corner for this?
If anybody knows, please tell me, because if I think about it too hard, I just get overwhelmed. So I just have to concentrate on like, okay,
Talk about the next step in faith, right? And you can't see it in the dark. You just got to take
it's
the
like
next step.
just knowing why I'm in this business. I love songs. I love songwriters.
Yeah.
Whatever happens is going to happen, but songs will always be around, and it's really hard. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, publishing's a little scary. Just, it's so reliant on country radio is so reliant on radio singles, and without that, it's harder to recoup deals. And so it's the streaming thing is just not recouping deals right now. So that's a big challenge. Just trying to just trying to figure that out. But yeah, I just have to, I don't know what's like, I don't know how long radio will be around for. Like, I don't know. It'll eventually go away, I'm sure. And with AI, I don't know what all that means for publishing. There's a lot of question marks that I don't know if anybody fully knows what's going to happen. But yeah, there's big changes are coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that, and I think we talked to Trent about this on his episode, that I think can give some hope to some people, is that, with the finances changing, the numbers changing because of streaming, and how, things like Spotify are just doing their best not to pay songwriters anything, that, a guy like Trent, who, is a full-time teacher. And so most of the time when he's not on break, he's like, I write in the afternoons, like after school. Yep. And he landed a publishing deal. And I would think that publishers are more open to that kind of thing, and not to get in the bones of his particular deal, because I'm not privy to it and we don't need to air that on the show. But I would think like in the 90s, people getting big draws, because you sneeze, Colin Ray would sneeze and go platinum, right? And then the money starts going downhill after Napster and all that stuff. And so draws aren't what they used to be. And now I would imagine that publishers are more open to going, well, you have a full-time gig. Well, that makes sense, because we're not going to pay you a full-time living anyway as a draw, because now that, we have more runway, I think, to get the plane off the ground. And I think that can work for some people that do have maybe day jobs or have some different situations. But it's also more challenging for a writer who says, I want to do this full time and I need $30,000 a year, which is not what it used to be anyway. Yeah. Can we get that draw? And if you can command that, you better get on the radio fast.
Yeah.
The streaming ain't going to cut it.
Yeah, I know. And 30,000 in Nashville right now it's not very livable. Most of our writers do have other jobs. One of our writers is on the road with Travis Tritt. One of our writers is an EMT. He's, doing that.
Wow.
So yeah, and then Trent's a teacher. So yeah, it's different. Like back then you could, if you got a Colin Ray cut, you could made the same. I mean, it wasn't besides the radio money.
Just the mechanicals.
It doesn't matter if you had track 7 or the single, you made the same in mechanicals.
Yeah, if it's a co-write and he's goes platinum, then that's your half of that is $45,000 to be split between
publisher
and writer share and stuff. So that's a significant chunk of change for an album.
Yeah. Yeah, and now without album sales, that component's not there. So yeah, it's a lot more reliant on radio. So
yeah, I think a lot of writers are going to go a lot more bivocational, except for maybe the little Ashley Gorleys and some of those at the top, or if they're writer artists and that kind of stuff, which just at least for the time being till this shakes out. And I just want to let people know there are pros that are getting cuts that are doing that too. Now you can look at that as depressing and sad, but you can also look at it and go, okay, well, how can I build my life in a way that it doesn't mean I can't get a publishing deal. It doesn't mean I can't get a publisher interested in me if I go teach from 8 to 3.
Yeah.
It can still happen. Your songs have to be great.
Yeah, it gives you a different perspective as a writer too. I mean, my writer that is in an ambulance picking up people, that's a whole different perspective on life.
Yeah.
And then Dawson, who's on the road with Travis Tritt as his drum tech, he's getting to see these songs and like crowds' reactions, and getting to see that side is important too. So I feel like it just gives you different perspective on the songwriting, having that other, and it's income you don't have to recoup too, which is good.
That is always good.
Yeah, good point. I never thought about the situation that we're in right now, the paradigm shift in the market from the publisher's perspective, in that most of your cash flow is from radio,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
For
which
right
is
now, yeah.
scary, right? Because there is, but I have hope, you know, in so much as this, like from the scary part is that we could have like a Black Monday Wall Street moment for radio, where instead of like fading out over time, which we really need it to happen, because the digital, um the business of the digital structure, especially with songwriters, is still it's still in a baby form. It's still
Mhm.
developing, right? And I feel like companies like Spotify were necessary to make streaming ubiquitous. But if you look at Spotify, they know the writing's on the wall, right? They're doing so much with podcasts and video now, trying to reposition themselves, knowing that they don't own the intellectual property that creates the traffic
Mhm.
that pays them. So, I feel like some of their, like these last moves with the bundling and everything is just the final shakedown, because they see it coming. So, we were talking about Taylor Swift. Like, she's she's sh- everybody, when they look at it, the business moves that she makes, and they too many people think, well, step one, be Taylor Swift. No, everybody can do this, and they're starting to do it, right? With her, like, re-recording everything, because she understands that she owns the traffic.
Mhm.
And so I'll tell the traffic where to go, and I'm not beholden to you. And then the whole move with her latest record and TikTok, and with Lucian Grange pulling all of the Universal artists off, and then the president of the record label going back to the artist with his hat in his hand, will you please also do this? A week before my record comes out. Sorry. Because she owns the masters.
Yeah.
And so that, as artists continue to gain power, and now that, by the way, now her record deal structure that she really forged is becoming ubiquitous for all the bigger artists. That's good for publishers, right?
Yeah.
That's really good for you.
Yeah.
And because the artists understand, if we don't have the songs, it's not going to work. And they understand the importance of the songwriter and what you do. And it's going to take a little while for everybody else to kind of shift over. But man, I just heard there was a piece of legislation in Congress, a bill that would force, if it was passed into law, would force automakers to continue to provide terrestrial radio in the car.
Mhm.
And when I saw the headline, there's like 4 or 5 levels of oh my god in that, right? Like,
Yeah.
why 90% of radio is consumed in the car? It's been going on for over 100 years.
Yeah.
Why do we need legislation for that?
Yeah.
Well, because the 8-tracks come and gone, cassettes come and gone, CDs come and gone.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening to radio.
Yeah.
They're streaming, and the automakers understand who their customers, and they're like, we don't need this anymore. And it's a lobby from radio. But if in what's supporting radio now is like the local advertisers, not the big box things anymore. So one headline,
Wow.
we're not going to put radio in the car anymore. All of a sudden, they're out of business, because then their advertisers that are left are going to pull it. And but man, when artists understand, and when the industry understands, whoever owns the traffic rules the road. Taylor Swift could put all her stuff on a dang server and charge $1 a month for it, and she knows how to pay songwriters, right? And the artists know how to pay songwriters. So I feel like it's going to get a lot better than it is right now. And
Yeah, like Garth, I remember
know.
several years ago took a swing at that called Ghost Tunes, and it never took off. So it ended up being an appropriate name, I guess. But where it was, an option other than like Spotify, or it might have been, I'm not sure how much Spotify was even around. There might have been more like Napster, but it was a digital distribution. It was supposed to pay a lot better and that kind of stuff. So there have been some people taking swings at that. And if they can kind of crack it where it pays way better than, then that's great, because people are consuming music more and more than ever before through streaming, through, streaming, because I always have it with them, but also through sync. There's so many outlets for film and TV, that kind of stuff.
Well, and the thing is, it's all about the intellectual property. That's what creates the traffic,
Right.
So if you look at Hollywood, Emily, like, they figured it out. It took a while, but they figured, like, hey, wait a second. We're first of all, I'm awesome because I just put Friends onto Netflix. I'm the CEO of NBC, and here's a whole brand new, 7, 8, 9-figure cash register that didn't even exist before on this intellectual property that we've already cashed in on in a very big way. But whatever we're splitting with Netflix for a player, it's too much. We should start our own streaming service, and then they figured out who their customer was, and now they get 100% of the money. Water seeks its own level. That is, at some point, God knows the industry is dragging its freaking feet, but it will happen where they're just like, boom, because you know what? The songwriter money is all going to Spotify and the streamers now. And that's really what's happening. And Spotify knows that they're an unnecessary middleman. We don't need them anymore. Taylor's proven that, right? So many artists have proven that. Like, I'll put this somewhere else, and that's where my fans will go. Yeah. So I love that. That's interesting. That must keep you awake at night.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I try not to think about it.
What do you look for in a songwriter, Emily?
Can you say that again?
What do you look for in a songwriter when you're considering signing somebody? What are there certain things? I mean, obviously, not obviously. What do you look for?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a fan of so many songwriters in town, and I mean, I'd love to sign all of them, but I know I'm not the right person for all of them. And so it's really like just knowing the vision for the writer when I meet with them, and like knowing, okay, I know exactly what rooms to put you in. I know exactly, and I can do this. Like, there's some writers I love, and I know I'm not the right person for. And also, just putting together a roster. I don't want 5 writers that all do the same thing. I want 5 writers that are all completely different. So every opportunity that comes to me, I have a writer for it. So that's kind of, that's.
Can you unpack that a little more for our listeners? Like, what are 5 writers doing 5 different things? What things do they do? Like, what is that?
So, I mean, I'll give you our Dream 3 roster, for example. So Ben Kaver, the best melody person in town, best melody writer. He's an incredible singer. And then, he was our first signing. I've been a fan of his for pretty much since I moved to town. And then John Stark is a writer producer, and I just loved what he did. And I work well with writer producers because I'm married to one. And so like I get writer producers well. And so he had never had a publishing deal, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you are so great. And like I said, I just knew the path for him. And he and Ben write together some, and like they complement each other, but they're not the same in the room. And then our third signing, Dawson Edwards, he's more rockin'. He loves Hank Williams Jr. He's complete opposite of our other 2 writers in the best way, and like just the best hang too. He's just, all of our writers are just great hangs too. That's really important, just great people. So all 3, they're completely different. Trent is, he's like a Casey Beathard, just great, just lyrically, not like the other guys. And then Andy Buckner is like traditional country, and he's also an artist, and he's working with Carson Chamberlain. The music's amazing. My jaw dropped the first time I heard it.
Very interesting. It's like a label almost. Like, we don't want 2 Garth Brooks on the label, right? For you, if I'm hearing what you're saying, right, like just on a business hat mind, it's diversification.
Yeah.
Like, if we need a cut that's a little old school country, get Andy on a horn, right? And if we need, this or this or this, like you got a tool in your toolbox, not to demean them, but you've got the guy or the girl for the job,
Yeah.
like to handle this kind of what this artist needs,
Mhm.
and now you got a shot,
Mhm.
and all these different lanes you can occupy. I never thought about. That's so smart, man.
Yeah.
I never.
Yeah,
That's
and
just
then we're working on signing a girl finally. So have a female finally, and it's that we're excited about. So yeah, it's they're all just completely different, and I'm a fan of all of them. They're all amazing, and all amazing humans. So yeah, I just love working with them.
And that is a big thing. I mean, I tell people that the hang is just as important as the hooks,
Mhm.
because if a publisher can't stand to be around you for 5 minutes, they don't want to work with you for 5 years. Just
Yep.
not going to happen. It
Yeah.
has to be a good personality fit.
Any other writers, you're gonna go stink up the room. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's a pleasure working with you, not a pressure working against you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the business is it's art. And so if people aren't enjoying it, they can find very talented people that they do enjoy being with. It's like your job is to
Mhm.
make yourself a great option, and hopefully the
Mhm.
best option for people. And a big
Mhm.
part of that is, did I enjoy the experience? Because a
Mhm.
lot of people in town know how to write a song.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it just is that, do we connect? Which is just,
Yeah.
huge part of it. So
Yeah.
that's cool. What are some common traits that you see in successful songs that kind of tend to resonate with artists and gatekeepers? Are there things that you like, I always need more of these?
So I mean, I try and get the song of the year's cut. Like those are
Mm.
my favorite songs, and I feel like we're always going to need them.
Yeah.
They're not trendy. They last. They're those ones. They're just the gems. And so those are what I always love. Like I kind of have that reputation around town. Like when I play these songs, they're going to be great.
Mhm.
So I mean, I try and stick to that. And my writers are writing great songs. So that makes it easy.
So it's kind of branding for yourself. Like, oh, I need depth, song of the year
And
kind of thing.
and my writers too. And like, there's not every artist is known for their great songs, and it's
Mhm.
it's just trying to figure out the best songs, I guess. But I love those well-written songs that are just different and catch your ear differently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love that about you, because that takes guts, right?
And
It's
patience.
easy to get the trendy song cut, but we had Bobby E. Boyd on the show before, and he dropped the bomb. I was like, took 10 years to get Bless the Broken Road cut. I'm like,
Mhm.
how in the HE double toothpick did it take 10 years for somebody to go, I have to have this song? Like,
Yeah.
you've got to be kidding me,
Yeah.
right? Like, that
Yeah.
is one of those kinds of songs.
Yeah.
But I think those ones that you're talking about, kind of like unicorns, right? And it's hard
Mhm.
to make that happen. It's
Yeah.
a harder gig, but with a way, way bigger outcome, right? If you
Right.
can get it done. Look at you. You're a cowboy.
Well, I would think so too. If you don't have the artist on the song or the producer on the song, then it's a different bar, right?
Mhm.
Because so much of the record's going to be, what's the best of what I've written as the artist, or what's the best of what the producer's written that leverages that. So if you're coming from like a complete outside song, which just trying to get a fair listen that could be a whole nother podcast of like, how do you work that? But then once you get a fair listen, the bar for like cutting an outside song, I mean, I have to like that better than my own songs that I've written, because every
Yeah.
artist, even if they're not really writers, you're going to stick them in a room, get enough, acceptable songs to fill up a record.
Yeah.
You kind of have to smoke them and go,
Yeah.
I got to have that, even if it
Yeah.
doesn't make me any extra money.
Yeah.
But that's like a song of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Not for the
hopefully it'll
faint of
be
heart.
like I feel like there's always I got a Cody Johnson cut. My writer John Stark wrote "Come On Cowgirl,"
Awesome.
Nice.
and I mean,
Congratulations.
thank you. But
Yes.
yeah, it's like a song of the year, and maybe it'll be the single. You just never know with him. So yeah,
That's the thing.
That's
we pitch
right.
song of the year and just hope maybe it'll get a single.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how that works out. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Oh my gosh! Like, how much that sometimes the suits can screw that up. You know,
Well, because it is
like,
art.
this is clearly the song of the year.
I know.
You
Well, and it's like the one thing we have no control over being a publisher is what the single is. You know, that's the label's decision, and it's like, yeah, what pays our bills, and we have no control over it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of faith to be on that side of it as a writer or a publisher, because you have to trust the process, right? This is what we do. This is how we work songs through. Then you kind of have to hold it with an open hand, because like, like I just got bumped off a record because, wrote with one of the band members and she loved it. But then the lead singer came in with one with a similar vibe. And it's like, well, can't have both those on there. And he's a lead singer. And, it's like, it had nothing to do with my song not being quality. It's just like, the politics kind of fell a little different way. And that stuff happens all the time. You have to go, well, all right. Well, good thing I've already written 20 songs since then. Let's just and you kind of have to keep your head down and see what you can learn from that. Okay, I need to write with the lead singer. Maybe that's a lesson learned, right? Okay, well, how do I avoid that weakness in my system? Okay, write with these people. They can have veto power. Okay, let's work that. But other than that, keep on writing and go, okay, well, we did something right. It just wasn't the right song at the right time. Keep on going. So
yeah.
And that brings up a story I was thinking about from Michael Wagner, rock producer, like a hairband guy over here, and I got the absolute joy of becoming friends with him and being able to work with him on a couple projects. And this is a guy, when I was an artist, I would have given my left arm to work with, and the struggle's real, man. He would be like, we would always know what the single was. And then the suits would come in and they would screw it up. So we started trying to take a little bit of control of that. And the vanity thing, like we'd bring the A&R guy in and have him sing background vocals on the song that we knew was the single. And then before the door hit him in the butt on the way out of the studio, I erased everything, but he thinks he's on it. Now he's going to push for that song to make it the single. So we got somebody in the room that's going to sway the opinion on that. How clever, right? Like, how clever that is.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, Emily, like you said, part of your time is spent meeting with new writers, artists, that sort of stuff. What are some things that make for a great meeting with, say, an unsigned writer that, is not really on your radar yet, but you're meeting with them, and stuff that makes for a bummer of a meeting? What are some like kind of do's and don'ts, or just things that you go, oh, that was great. Okay. And now
I don't know. I love getting to know people. So I just love getting to hear people's stories, and like any bummer meetings, unless they have a bad attitude or something, or I can't get the conversation going maybe, but no, I just love hearing people's stories and getting to hear new songs I've never heard, and getting to hear future trends, and I love meeting people in the beginning of their career.
That's awesome.
It's special. Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned as a partner in a publishing company in Nashville?
All the paperwork. Paperwork. How this whole, I never intended to start a publishing company from scratch. My partner, Laurel Kittleson Cobb, actually had I met her 20 years ago at my first class at Belmont, Computer 101. And, we've just been friends. And I was at a place called Still Working, and this was October 2021. And out of nowhere, we just got the news that they were going to start, phasing out writers. And I was devastated. I mean, Tommy Lee James was a writer there who was the first songwriter I ever heard of. John Randall, who, Jesse Alexander, I met her before I even moved to town. She kind of took me under her wing. So I knew Randall and Jesse for a long time. And I was getting to work with John and his songs. And Gordy Sampson was always the top, I would write out my dream writer rosters in college, and Gordy was always at the top of it. I was getting to work with those guys, and we were coming out of COVID, and it was, there were songs on the radio. It was just a decision that the owners made. But yeah, so I was devastated, but Laurel and I we just so happened to be catching up over coffee the next week. and she had just left her job at C.L.I.M.B a few months before that, and so people were approaching her about jobs, and one of them was Greg Hill. And so, I'm telling her about still working, and I'm trying to figure out how to get these writers, like, I'm trying to figure out how to get somebody to hire me, and like, just nothing stops for the writers. I just, I'm still their point, because, you don't want to lose the momentum when you switch deals, and like just the stress of looking for a new deal and all that. So
Yeah.
it was like my whole plan. And she just looks at me. She's like, "Would you ever want to start a publishing company?" And I was like, "No, that sounds terrifying." She's like, "No, you, me, and Greg. I just talked to Greg Hill. Let's just sit down and we'll talk." And like in my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, that's never no." And so we talked, and it was just one of those moments where like I was like, I have to work with these two people. And like, we literally dreamed up a publishing company that day, and they're just the best. Greg is, he started off in publishing at EMI in the 90s. He signed Phil Vassar, and
Wait,
then
that's the name, Dream 3.
it's called
Yeah.
Dream 3. I know. Because it literally, like, we literally dreamed it up, and it was funny, like,
Brilliant.
yeah. And so we were like, I kept in that meeting with Greg and Laurel, our first meeting, I kept talking about my dream roster, my dream this, dream situation, all that. And, and Laurel at the end of that meeting was just like, "You kept saying the word dream. What about dream publishing?" And I was like, I like that. I feel like it's missing something. And so like I was like in ASCAP and BMI searching all like the publishing names, like Dream 7, Dream 30, I don't know, like just a bunch of random things. And then Greg was like, "Why not Dream 3?" And I was like, "Oh yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding.
yeah." So yeah.
So, so I got a question. When you guys started the publishing company, how did you tackle the ungodly complication of admin, right? I mean, digital revenue is ridiculous, right? With all the CMOs and, like, how did you navigate those waters? Where did you go? How do you do it at your company? Is it a third party that you use?
Yes. So yes, luckily I've never had to deal with admin. I am a totally creative person, and like I'm so thankful there are people that love spreadsheets and admin, because I'm not one of them. I'm not good at it. But so at Still Working, we had joint ventures, and a few writers had joint ventures with Cobalt, and Kevin Lane. I also went to Belmont with him, and he's just one of my favorite people in the business. He's at Cobalt, and so it was kind of like a no-brainer. I was like, we got to reach out to Cobalt and Kevin Lane, and just the whole way they structure deals is just so amazing. And I loved the team over there, and so I told Greg was coming up with some other ideas, and I was like, no, we need to talk to Cobalt. Just trust me on this. And our first meeting with Cobalt, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right. We got to go with Cobalt." So yeah, they're amazing partners, and they handle all of the admin and all of that, so I don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, same with me. Like accounting, admin. Give me a gun.
Yeah.
No. When I first moved to town, I worked for Blue Water Music, and so they had creative staff as well, like Jim Lauderdale and Tim Krekel, but then they also had the admin side, and I started working there just doing data entry. Sony would send in their things, and I was just putting in Jim Lauderdale and Kim Ritchie and Chris Knight's money and stuff. And but that was it got me my first gig in on the row, and got me to go to the row every day and have an excuse. I wasn't just working at Cracker Barrel. Yeah. And then I ended up being on the admin team for a little while till I got my first cut and was able to, and they fired me. And because they didn't have publishing, but I love them. And now they work for me and they do my admin, because I'm like, okay, y'all do a good job because you'd catch my mistakes. And it's so worth it, because I'm like, I would lose more than more than my percentage that I share with them, and I don't give them ownership. They just take a percentage of what they collect. I'm like, I would lose way more than that just in time and screwing things up. It's like why I have Johnny help me with my Facebook ads for Songwriting Pro, because I screw it up. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really want to know, to be honest. Yeah. I'm just kind of just write something. That would be so much better use of my time.
I love that because they take a percentage of what they collect. So it's like, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
they're incentivized to collect as much as they can. And that's such a great eat what we kill kind of relationship.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
They have every incentive to actually go collect all the money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. That is awesome. I love too how you talked about the different kinds of writers on there. And so I just think for the listeners out there, you know, when you get passed up on your first publishing deal, it might not be because you're not a good writer. It's
Right.
probably going to be because we already got one like you.
Mhm.
And you know, you need to go find out where you've another beehive to fit into, but you're good because you got in the door for the meeting to begin with, you know,
Mhm.
which is awesome. Do you guys do single song contracts too?
We are about to do our first one. We're highly involved with NSAI, and
Yeah.
they're doing a song contest that I'm about to judge songs for in a couple weeks, and so we'll try our first single song agreement. I mean, we have done some at the companies in the past that I've been with, but yeah, we haven't done one at Dream 3 yet.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we love NSAI. Bart's been a multiple times guest on here.
He's got the golden jacket like on SNL. I think he's been on 5 times. And he's like, I want to always be the one, the most guest appearances. So it's which means we can always get Bart on the show because we're like, hey, Bart, somebody's creeping up behind you, man. Like we gotta.
And he never runs out of things to talk about. So good.
No. And every time he opens his mouth, it's friggin' brilliant. You know, you're like just dropping value bombs left and right.
Thank goodness for Bart.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Do you have any favorite writers' nights around town that are regular writers' nights that you attend?
I mean, anytime I can go to the Bluebird,
Mhm.
right there. Anytime, but now I have to be on a guest list. You know, like I used to. You know, when I moved to town, you could just walk into the Bluebird, and I mean, I was a broke college student, so I would just, you know, the 6 o'clock Bluebird shows. If you went to the pews, they were first come first serve. It was free, you know, and like, because I didn't have any money, so I would just go there every night, sit in the pew, and see rounds.
Or Dawn for $1. Was Dawn for $1 a thing when you started coming to town?
I don't know if I saw him actually.
Yeah. So Johnny, it was Dawn.
I've been to so many, I can't.
What is that?
Yeah, so it was Don Schlitz, you know, so the gambler, Deeper Than the Holler, like legend. And he would play the Bluebird and it'd be Dawn for $1. That would be the cover. Just $1. And he'd be up there himself just slaying it. And so anyway, that was the thing back when I like moved to town.
The movie came out when you could get into the Bluebird. Like, is that what you're saying? Like, because now it's like the only way to get it. I mean, if you're not on the guest list, you're not going to get in.
I have to be on a guest list. I know. They used to have like I don't know, like I had like my own member number that like you kind of had priority over reservations, like, and I know when it happened, when the Bluebird really like you can't get in anymore unless you're like on the guest list. It was when the Nashville show aired. It was like overnight. Because I was managing a writer named Brett Tyler. And I was at the Bluebird a few nights before Nashville aired, had no trouble getting in. And then Brett was going to be a guest with somebody that was playing the Bluebird 2 nights after the Nashville show aired. And, you know, we get there and there's a line wrapped around and he's literally has his guitar, is going to be a guest on stage. And they said, I'm sorry, we can't let you in. We reached fire code last night and we will get in trouble if you come in. And so, like, he was literally performing. Luckily, Jeff Skaggs was there and had 2 extra seats. And so we got in. But, like, it was literally overnight. And then since then, I got to be on a guest list.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. Nashville was much more ubiquitous than... What was the movie that...
A Thing Called Love.
Oh,
A Thing Called Love. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that made it popular. And then maybe, like, I moved here in 2005. So maybe, like, the popularity... died down.
No, you're right, Emily. That's it. That's the one where it just went.
Show. It really is.
Yeah.
Nashville started really exploding too. It was like 2013, 2014. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's funny. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Is there anything that we haven't covered so far that you're like, oh, I really love to talk about this, and it never gets talked about enough, or maybe it gets talked about enough, but you still love to talk about it?
I don't know.
Any soapboxes that need standing on?
Well, I mean, so I was driving this morning and I have this playlist. I named it Country Gold, and like I put it together like 10 years ago, and I was just listening to it, and it's got like the best songs, and it's all like, you know, the early 2000s songs, like just like, and every song was like, I was like getting choked up. You know, like there was a time when everybody was writing about their kids going off to college. You know, it would be like, it was like There Goes My Life.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Don't Forget to Remember Me, that Carrie Underwood song. And
Mhm.
Then They Do, and
Oh, yeah.
You're
Trace,
Gonna Miss It.
yeah.
It's like all of these, like, it was just like all these great songs. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are just great story songs that make me want to cry, and those are my favorites. And I feel like we need more of those these days. So writers should get on that.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, those are great songs and real. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
Anything we can plug for you?
Anything? Well, I mean, just well, Andy Buckner, his music will be released hopefully later this year, and
Okay, so you're doing the artist thing. Okay, good.
Yep.
yeah, he's working with Carson Chamberlain, and it is good country music.
Oh, that's great. Carson's killing it right now with what's his name?
At top.
Yeah, Zach Top. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got a. I mean, he's been around a long time and been great for a long time, but he really has a hot hand right now. I would feel like that's a great place to be.
Yeah.
Wait, where's Andy from?
He's from North
I think
Carolina.
I know Andy.
You might. I mean, he lived in Nashville. He moved back to North Carolina a few years ago.
Asheville?
Yeah, Asheville area. Yep.
I know Andy.
You probably
I
do.
love that.
It's like like he's been around, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I love that. I love that. So are you like? Oh, one final quick question. Like, so much as the industry changes, it seems like, and tell me if you agree with this or not, that publishing companies are doing a lot more artist development. And is that? I mean, I'm thinking this with Andy Buckner now. This is what you guys are doing, right? Like, you're doing some of that too.
Yeah. So the nice thing, you know, like I am such a songwriter person, and like the artist, like I'm not really, I don't have that experience as much. And like, I just love focusing on the songwriters really. But luckily Laurel Kittleson Cobb is one of the best A&R artist development people in town. And then Greg, you know, with his experience, he manages artists. They both deal with artists great. So they're like, Greg's actually managing Andy. And so they more are handling the artist development stuff. And I mean, Andy really doesn't need much development. He's just so great already.
It's a real deal. Yeah.
He really is. But yeah, luckily I have them who can focus more on that. I can focus more on setting up co-writes with other artists and our writers, and they can focus on.
Is there when you guys are doing as a company though, when you guys are doing the development, is there a marketing arm in that?
Not yet. I mean, maybe one day we'll expand to that, but right now we're more focused on just the writers,
creating the content and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Awesome.
I run our Instagram. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I feel you.
Well, thank you so much, Emily, for saying yes. We will put the link to your website in the show notes so that people can go follow these writers and artists.
Awesome.
And do everything we can to try to bolster them as well. And you know what? I think we need to get Andy on the show.
Yeah.
For a song title challenge or something. Like I would love to do that. I've been a minute since I talked to him, and I would love that. I just love what you just said. I just love this story. This is great. Well, there it is, guys. It brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.
Who